You are listening to Detroit Craft Academy, episode number 4.
Craft Academy, Detroit Crafts with Jody, Detroit Craft Academy.
On today's episode, we talk with Joey Salamon. Joey is an illustrator and muralist who creates eye-popping psychedelic work. But first, a brief word about one of our sponsors. Are you or someone you know planning a wedding? Check out the Rock Sugar Wedding Show featuring local artists and makers at the Rust Belt in Ferndale, Michigan on March 12th. If you'd like to find out more about the show, head on over to rocksugarevent.com where you can RSVP to this free event. The first 50 brides that attend will also receive a complimentary tote filled with lots of goodies. Also, just for any parents out there that have kiddos in the room, you might want to make sure that you have headphones on while listening to this episode because there's a lot of swears. So I hope y'all enjoy the show. Hi, Joey. How are you? Thanks for coming on to the show today.
Thank you.
So, Joey, just to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
So, my name's Joey Salamon. I grew up in Midland, Michigan, which is middle of nowhere, like 2.5 hours north of Detroit. Mm-hmm. And I'm an artist. I do everything from super detailed illustrations. Usually everything has kind of like a psychedelic, like happy, like twist to it. But then I'll also do murals. I'll do graphic design. Pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm. So you grew up in Midland. Did you come from a creative family?
So my older brother used to be a painter, mm-hmm. and he would do like oil paintings. And so both me and him were very artistic in that way. And then he split and went, like, he's an industrial designer now.
Okay.
So still, like, creative, but not fine artsy. And then I just kept going with it. And I knew since, like, second grade that this is what I was going to do. I was like, this is the thing that I can do and do it well, and I don't really feel like doing anything else.
So you knew that you wanted to be an artist? Just, like, you've never had any other thought of what you wanted to do?
No, I always knew art, maybe not necessarily in, like, what way. Like, for a while, it was, like, maybe graphic design, but then also, like, in high school, too, I went through this period where I was like, well, shit, I'm not going to make any money doing this. Maybe I should be, like, I don't know, maybe, like, a psychologist or something, because that sounds interesting.
That's what I wanted to do, too.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good, creative people are like, this seems good.
Like, am I mental? Maybe I should take psychology just to make sure.
But then I took psychology, and I sucked at it, so it was like...
I couldn't pass the behavioral statistics.
It's funny, my main goal in high school... was literally just to, like, socialize and have fun and not really care. But I had, like, a ton of friends who, like, I mean, obviously they're doing that too, but they're, like, looking forward to college. And when it came time to, like, go to college or, like, what do you do after high school, I had no clue. Literally. So I went to Grand Valley for college, and I went because my friend Taylor went, and... she just goes, you should go to Grand Valley. And I said, oh, okay. And I applied and then just went. And I never even visited. I didn't even apply to any other schools.
So did you was there like an art program in Grand Valley that you got into? Or?
So I feel like Grand Valley's art program is this, like, hidden gem. It's, like, honestly really, really good. And it will whip your ass into, like, where it needs to be if you're gonna make it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's, like, really lucky that you...
Yeah, it just, like, worked out well. Like I said, going up to that point, I still wasn't that great of a student. I just didn't know... Like, I felt like I've always known that I could do well. I just didn't know how to do it up to that point. So after foundations, you choose your emphasis on what you want to go into.
Right.
So I was still on the track of, like, I want to go into graphic design and be like a graphic designer, because that sounds like a solid
job,
smart career choice.
Yeah.
So I applied for that, and then also applied for illustration. And I didn't get into graphic design. And so that, like, it honestly, like, devastated me. I was like, shit, now I'm going to have to go into illustration, which is fine. I'm like, that's not really what, in my mind, what I wanted to do.
Well, it's, like, I remember when I was in school, like, everyone was like, oh, well, if you're going to do anything in art, you go and do graphic design because that's where you can make money.
Yeah, it was just, like, tough, hearing that, but I was just like, whatever, I'll go and do illustration. So I got into illustration, and then I remember, literally, I can pinpoint, like, this one project. It was our very first project that we had, and we could literally, I think it was like the project was we could literally do anything we wanted. So I did this piece, and it was maybe like it's smaller than a piece of paper, and it was all pointillism, and it probably took like, I don't know, like 70 hours to do.
Yeah.
And like I was happy with it. But I remember during critique for it, and they were going up and down everyone's, and I was like, and they got to mine, and I was like, it's probably just gonna be whatever. And then I remember Ed was like, he absolutely loved it, and was like, this is solid, like, this is good. And from that moment, I think that, like, gave me the confidence to be like, all right, I can do this shit.
Yeah. Putting
the time and effort and doing something super well that, like, you can choose what you want to do.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then did you do 4 years of art school, or?
I did, I think it was 4.5 years, and I'm trying to think, it was, listen, in college, I mean, in high school I was crazy too.
Yeah.
College was like super nuts, because it was, like I said, so I didn't get into graphic design then, and I tried again the next year, and I still didn't get in. Like, I think it was you had to have a certain GPA as well.
Oh, okay.
And so, again, like, you have to take those, what are they called? The classes you have to take, like...
Oh, like, just the requirements?
Yeah, but there's, like, math class, like... Oh. And, like, I just fucking sucked at that. I
didn't graduate at Wayne State for 8.5 years because I had one math class and they just dropped it. And I, like, by default graduated.
Really? That's actually kind of awesome.
I got a text message from my friend. She's like, you just graduated, right? Like, they're calling your name at the ceremony. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Dang. That's kind of awesome, though. Did they, like, mail you?
They mailed me my degree. Shit. Yeah. I was like, all right, cool. I'll take it.
Dang.
I'm already paying you guys enough money as it is.
But yeah, so I applied for graphic design again, didn't get in, was, like, absolutely, like, devastated again. And then, all in that same time, it was just crazy as fuck, because I, like, had just also come out. So that time was just absolutely insane, too, because I come from a very conservative family. Oh. And then had 2 friends die within a span of, like, I don't know, I think it was, like, maybe 3 years apart. But one, like, literally seeing, like, a friend die. Oh. And then another one, like...
like, losing anyone at that young, too. Yeah, so, it's super devastating to lose people when you're young because, you kind of think you're going to live forever.
Yeah, and it was just, like I said, and I was in a not great relationship either. And so, and then on top of that, and then, like, I was, like, went to jail. Like I said, college was insane. And I look back at it now, I'm like, damn. Yeah, it was great. Loved it. But no, like, I guess, like, I should, like...
Mischievous.
Yeah, or I should, like, regret that. But I don't. Because I feel like all that, like, bad shit just, again, helped me, like, I don't even know. Like, strive to just, like, do better. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I was still in college when I got my first commission, and that was for Green Day, and...
Green Day the band?
Green Day the band.
It's just really... Green Day.
For Green Day. But yeah, I just remember...
That's awesome. How did you get that one?
I was like, shit, no one knows who I am. Like, I just made my like first website, and I was like, I don't know how you get commissions or like what you do. So I just literally, I would go on Wikipedia and I would like look up record labels, and I would, if I could find the record label and then find like an email, I just blasted through record label after record label and sent them my information and like a very like small thing, just being like, hey, like if you have any projects, I'm looking to like work for you. Like just super like amateur, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
That is like the fact that you did that though.
Yeah, I would spend like an entire day. I would send out like 500 emails.
Yeah.
To just, I would do like record labels, and then what else? And then I would do like leftist like political magazines. Anything that was like up my alley, and shit that wasn't either.
Yeah.
Just that I could like try to get something.
Yeah. I mean, just like I know that's like part of, I mean, with illustrators for sure. Like that's totally something. It's just like reaching out to art directors and then like everything else. But like even to this day, like you did it right out of like in school.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I can't email anyone.
I'm just like whatever. They're like a faceless entity. I'm just gonna send that shit out.
Oh my gosh.
The worst thing that's gonna happen is you don't get a response.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that happens, or that happened in that time frame most of the time. But if you get an email back and they're interested one in every 100 emails, you're just like, okay, well that's something.
So how did the whole Green Day contact you? And
that was just one of the emails that I'd sent out.
You'd sent out and they contacted you back?
Yeah, they got back through, was it Billy Joe Armstrong's, the lead singer, he owns a record label. And so that was one of the record labels that I reached out to, and they got back and they were like, yeah, we actually need a few more like apparel designs. And they're like, yeah, so if you want to do like one of the t-shirts for us, we'll throw you like, I don't know what it was, like $350 or something. And I was like, holy shit, I just made money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So that was in college still, and then you did an internship. Was that right out of college, or what came after?
Well, after I graduated, I moved to Hawaii, and
oh yeah, that's right, you did move to Hawaii.
Yeah, so I moved to this, so I was looking for jobs, and like I said, I just graduated. I'd gotten out of that one relationship that wasn't that great, and then I was like, I really want to just like move somewhere and go do something different. So I started looking up, I don't know, there's those websites that are like cooljobs.com.
Yeah.
And you can go like fucking like herd sheep in like Alaska or something. I found this one in Hawaii. It was on this island called Molokai, which I never even heard of.
Yeah.
And I applied for it, and then long story short, I was there 3 weeks later. Like touching down in this place. I'm like, I never even knew this place existed 3 weeks ago.
What did you do?
So I worked at this little tiny, super, super tiny newspaper on the island. So this island, no joke, has maybe max like 8,000 people that live on it.
Wow. So is this the first job you got out of school that was like an art job?
Yeah, it was. So technically, it was a post, like college graduation internship.
Okay.
So I wasn't paid, but they paid for housing, which in Hawaii, thank God. And then they also gave us a very minimal food stipend. And then they gave us 2 cars. So I had to learn how to like drive stick shift out there. We were driving like a 20-year-old like Geo Metro hatchback. So I had to learn how to drive stick. And like, so I was the graphic designer, like the only graphic designer.
Yeah. So you just went for it. Just like, I need an art job. Why not Hawaii?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was great.
So how long were you in Hawaii then?
Like 6 months.
6 months, and then you came back?
So at the end of like my time there, that's when I started looking for the next thing. And at that point, kept on doing like freelance stuff. So I remember my biggest thing I had was for the Normal Foundation, which is like the biggest lobbying group for recreational marijuana.
Yeah.
So I worked for them and got a few illustrations in like High Times magazine and all that. But from there I was like, I really want to go and like work with an artist, like a legit artist, or like someone that I like and follow, and just be able to go like there and just work with them and just ask a zillion questions and all that shit.
Yeah.
So I sent 2 emails. I sent one to Maya Hayuk, and then one to Jen Stark.
Okay.
And then Jen emailed me back like 10 minutes later and was like, love your shit. When you're done in Hawaii, come to Miami.
Just like that.
Just like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, tell me a little bit about working with Jen Stark.
She was a blast. She's just like very chill and just like a good person. Like it was, so after I left Hawaii, I came back to Michigan for 3 weeks and then flew down there. I like rented, I like lived in this guy's house. This guy didn't even like live in the house the whole time I was there. And I lived in this like guest bedroom attached to his garage on the Little River in Little Haiti in Miami. So there's like manatees and like alligators, and then the people across the like Little River, I swear they were like drug lords. They had like a peacock in their backyard. But yeah, she like working with Jen was just a blast. Like she was so just accommodating, and I would have like a zillion questions. And
what do you think, working with her, how do you think that changed the way that you work as an artist?
Oh shit, I think it's inspiring to see what she's done. One of my last nights there with some of her friends, and they were all just kind of like giving like their 2 cents on just like their take on like making it in the art scene. And I remember one of the biggest things I got from it was hearing, just keep doing what you're doing. It will eventually keep on, or like catch on.
Yeah.
And like I said, just seeing that also in Jen, because she, like when I went out there, she was big, especially for like shit. So I don't even know how old I was, maybe like 23. And so I don't even know, was maybe like 28 or something. So she's like how old I am now. And she was big.
Yeah.
And then now like her shit's like completely like blown up. Like she did like the MTV Movie Awards and all that.
Yeah.
And so
awesome.
It's just, like I said, it's rewarding to see someone like that and like work with someone like that and know someone like that who just has like the ambition and like the drive to just fucking do it.
So then did you come to Detroit then after?
No, so after that was Chicago.
Chicago, okay. What were you doing in Chicago?
So in Chicago, I got a job, again, working at a newspaper.
Okay.
So the way I got into newspapers, at Grand Valley, I worked as a graphic designer for the newspaper. Okay. So that's, again, just something I like knew how to do. So I was like, all right, this will be a good job. So I got a job working at a newspaper design hub in Munster, Indiana. But I lived in Pilsen in Chicago. Okay. And so I worked there for about a year and a half. And I was continuing to still do freelance work. And I just kept building it up. And I remember going in asking for a raise. And I'd gotten one before, but I was like, well, I want another one now. Yeah. And just being like, all right, if I don't get this one, I'm going to quit. And then go do my freelance stuff full time. Right. So I went, asked for the raise, didn't get it, quit. And then what did you do? Like, what was the... From there, I moved to a commune. Okay. So you literally lived in a commune. Like a legit commune in the middle of nowhere in Virginia. Yeah. What? Like how... Okay.
How? What?
I realized I'd always wanted to go live in one and just have that experience. And I just quit my job. And also, mind you, throughout this whole time, even since I graduated Grand Valley, I knew the end goal was I wanted to come to Detroit. I was like,
you did?
Yes. So, but I was like, before I do that, I'm like, I do want to bounce around and do these different things.
Right.
And so, but that ultimately was the end game. After Chicago, though, I was like, well, I want to go live in a commune really quick, because I just always wanted to have that experience and see what it's like.
Was it like a hippie commune? Like, how did you find out about this?
I'd heard about this one. So there's another one called Twin Oaks that's like down the street, or not down the street, but like across like town from where this one is. And so like I said, I'd like been following different communes or intentional communities. And so I knew about Twin Oaks. I knew about Acorn, which is where I was at. But so I like applied. It's like a very loose term. Like got in contact with them. So it was with them, one in Seattle, and then like this like Buddhist monastery in like Northern California as well. And so I got accepted into all of those. But I ultimately went with Acorn because for me that was like a very true like intentional community / like commune.
Because it was out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it's the one in Seattle is urban.
Okay.
So it's like how Trumbullplex is right down the road. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
So that's like an urban one. I wanted one that's like, yeah, like in the woods, like farming.
Away from everything.
Yeah. And the one that was in the Buddhist monastery, I was like, it sounds cool. But I'm like, I probably would get bored of it quick. So I went to Acorn, had my mind blown into like a cajillion pieces. I said, I loved the experience, but legit, I only lasted for like a month.
Yeah. It was just too much.
I left because like I said, so I'm doing art shit all throughout this time. And I couldn't, like there was no like room or like mental space to do it there, I felt.
Right.
And so that for me was really tough. And I was like, well, shit, I'm making all this like progress, and I literally just quit my job to do freelance stuff, and I'm now at this place where like I wanted to have this experience, but I also now feel like I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like I remember I even got a job while I was there for what the fuck is it called? It's like this big like mermaid parade in New York City. Oh my god, what's it even called? I don't even know. But it's this big, huge event. And so I was asked to do the poster, and like Frank Kozit did the poster like the year before me, who's like a big famous poster artist who like does all like Blink-182's posters and stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so I was trying to do it there, and literally like mentally I just wasn't in the space. And this is the only time where I like couldn't do it, and I like emailed them and I was like, it's not working. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And they were kind of pissed.
So what came next after the commune? Was it Detroit?
So yeah, at that point I was like, all right, Detroit, that's like, it's now time. Like I feel like it's time to do that shit. But I didn't know like what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
Or like my reasoning for like coming down here. And so yeah, I remember seeing a thing for the Fortress advertising spaces for artists to live.
And I know what the Fortress Studios are, but for our listeners at home, can you tell them what that is?
So Fortress Studios is what's even the right word? It's like an artist co-op / like workspace.
Work-live space.
Yes. And so it's a spot where a lot of the people there, or at least when I was there, was doing a lot of 3D type work, like a lot of like sculpture. I think when I was there, I was the only person that was doing like 2D drawings and stuff. And then it'd be like, yeah, everyone else would come out like covered in like soot from like fucking welding. And I'd be like,
feeling really out of place.
I'm like, but no, I love that though.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a good, fun like, inviting place. Like, it was a great way for me to, like, kick off living here.
And how long were you living there for?
I think technically a year. Because in that same time period I met Matt.
Yeah.
And then I would pretty much stay every night at his place.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was there for about a year. And then, again, kept doing freelance stuff. And then, somewhere in there, I got in, like, just a bad place where I was just like, shit, I'm making it work. I'm, like, paying for my things, but I'm, like, barely making money. And so I was like, I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll just do this, like, not like self-sabotage thing, but just want to do something completely 180.
Yeah.
And so that's when I applied for Quicken. And then when it did, was a fucking mortgage banker for 9 months before quitting that job.
That's just so weird to me that you were a baker.
It's super fucking weird. It doesn't even make sense to me either.
Like, yeah, when you say it, like, oh, I was a baker for 9 months.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So.
And then also opened the restaurant.
Yeah. Okay. So let's touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So and so now you're working on art, and what else are you doing right now as well?
So with that, my boyfriend and I, Matt Buscard, we own Bobcat Bonnie's, which is a gastropub in Corktown, and it's actually named after my grandma.
It's named after your grandma?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they live on a farm in Ohio, and they had obviously a lot of farm equipment, of which Bobcats, like Bobcat, like skid loaders and stuff. I don't know how the nickname, like, came to be, but it's just been around for forever.
Okay.
So when we were, oh my God, when we were figuring out names for the restaurant, we went through everything. We went through, I said, I just love Wikipedia now. I'm, like, realizing this in this conversation.
Yeah.
But, like, I would go through and we looked at, like, islands in, like, the Great Lakes in, like, Michigan, and, like, names for those, names of, like, shipwrecks, names of, like, tiny towns, names of parks. We were going to name it Eloise's, because Eloise's is a mental institution that all the brick that's at Bobcat Bonnie's is made from.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we were going to name it...
No pun intended.
Yeah, that is literally insane. And then I liked Fitzgerald's, like, after Edmund Fitzgerald's.
Oh, yeah.
But that seemed too... I don't even know the right word.
Cliche.
Yeah, too something.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in that vein of just, like Eloise and, like, Fitzgerald's, like, older names, like, we were just saying names. And then I remember Matt and I were driving, I think we were driving back from Grand Rapids, and I was like, Bobcat Bonnie's? And then
That was the name.
we're like, well, that doesn't sound too bad.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Bobcat Bonnie's is, it's a gastropub in Corktown. It's, we based it off of what we wanted in a restaurant. So, like, the spectrum of the food choices are pretty varying. If you eat, like, a bird and are, like, a vegan, you are going to have options. And if you want, like, a big, massive, juicy burger, you can have that. And then everything in between. And it's good quality food for reasonable prices.
Yeah.
And it's just
really good.
A fun, good atmosphere.
I love eating at Bobcat Bonnie's.
The Bobcat.
If you're local and you're listening, you should definitely go if you have not been.
Check it out, y'all.
So you've been down here for a little bit of time now. You guys have opened up your own restaurant and everything. How has your work changed living in Detroit since you've been here?
It's definitely gotten more of, like a graffiti-ish type of, like, aspect to it. Like I said, my work's always been, like, in that realm of, like, psychedelic kind of, which I even kind of hate that term because it's so...
Like 70s or something.
Yeah, and it's just, like, it's very broad. And so, like, if I were to say psychedelic to someone, they'd think of some, like, 60s
Stone
like fucking
hippie.
Velvet poster, which I guess some of my shit does look like that. But I'd say Yeah, so since moving here, my stuff definitely has taken more of like a graffiti-esque type of look. And it's also gotten more like Japanesey kind of. A lot of like bonsai trees. Uh-huh. A lot of
oh yeah, like didn't you have one with it had like a Furby or something in it?
Yeah.
And there was like
like a lot
Japanese text in it even?
Yeah. Or so I like I'll do like so like a lot of like Nintendo stuff. Mm-hmm. But then I'll put a lot of like it's actually Chinese letterings on it just because I actually like I like the look of Chinese lettering more than Japanese. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I am like just fascinated by Asian artwork as well. So it's like a blend of those things, which absolutely make no fucking sense. Uh-huh. And I don't really know why that's happening, but...
Yeah, has that always been something that you've been interested in?
Yeah, like I've... if someone were to give me like a ticket, like a plane ticket, so you can go anywhere you want right now, I would 100% go to like Tokyo or something.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interest. I don't know like what has like spurred that, but yeah. So like in terms of like the style of the work, that's just where it's gone. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I have no idea why.
Yeah. So you've definitely honed in your style since you've come to Detroit. What kind of projects are you working on currently?
Well, like how I was saying earlier, like I do a bunch of different kind of things. I'm now wanting to push myself to focus more on like murals. Mm-hmm. So do more large pieces. Uh-huh.
And how many murals have you done so far?
I guess 4 technically. Mm-hmm. And then I'm starting another one tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, really? Where at?
The new restaurant.
The new restaurant? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. It's really interesting just to see how, like, because a lot of your work that you've started off as a small pen and ink stuff. Mm-hmm. Especially, like, when you were in the Fortress, I remember peeking in and you're just, like, hunched over a desk and you're making these, like, really small, detailed stuff. Yeah. And then it just, like, blows up huge.
Yeah.
Are there any big projects coming up for the next year that you're excited about?
Definitely... yeah, the mural that I'm going to start tomorrow, that'll be good. Right now, my main goal is to just redo the website again, make that look all where it needs to be, which is just unnecessary. I hate doing that shit.
Yeah, I don't know very many people that do, unless they do it all the time.
Yeah, but so that needs to get... to where it needs to be. And then once that is there, then I'm going to go out and reach out, because I've already scoped out a few different walls that I want to work on. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm just that type of person who I'm not going to go out to those people until
you have
everything's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's definitely, it's like that self... You know, like you were saying earlier, how like you really like your stuff. You don't want to probably show that until you can say that about everything that you've done.
Yeah, well, it just needs to be like packaged up in the portfolio, like the website, mm-hmm. just with a bow. So like when they go and look at it, they can see everything. It looks nice and like pristine or whatever. And two, just because I don't know, I also have a hard time describing my work. I also don't sketch anything. Mm-hmm. So that causes another like potential issue with clients where they essentially just kind of get what they get. When I start a piece, I have no idea where it's going to end up.
Yeah.
Which I love that, because I'm like, I don't know, for me it's like a challenge, like it's a test.
Right.
And so every piece needs to like end up at a spot where I feel okay with it, and I think any artist is like super critical about their work. Mm-hmm. And for me to get to the point where I'm like, all right, it's like done, it's solid. It's usually more than like 100 hours that like I've worked on it.
Right.
But still, describing that to someone, like how we were talking about before, like non-artist people, is just like a fucking foreign language.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
What are like some of the biggest projects that you've worked on?
Yeah. So I do a lot of Screen printed gig posters. Let's see. So some of those. The first one I ever got. So this was when I was in Chicago, and I did the same thing, like how I was telling you before about just like those email blasts. And I just started email blasting up different bands that I liked, ones that I thought I would like have a shot at getting a poster for. And again, this is my first poster. I've never done this before, so I'm looking for someone that like will give me the chance to do that,
right?
Because they're not going to see any evidence that I've done it before. The first band that gave me a shot was the Disco Biscuits, which is
I don't know who they are.
they're like I'd been to their concert before, and they performed at Rothbury when it used to be Rothbury.
Are they from Chicago?
I don't know where they're from, but they're like electronic like jam bandy kind of.
Okay.
And they legit gave me like 3 days to do it, and it was for a New Year's Eve show that they were having at Madison Square Garden in New York City. So I was freaking the fuck out, because again, I know like I can draw it up, but then I'm like, after this I'm like, shit, how do you separate colors? How do you like do all this? How do you get it like ready
to be silk screened?
Yeah. So that was my first poster experience ever. The first poster that I 100% did all myself, and I mean that like not actually screen printing, but like going to the screen printers, like purchasing the product and then selling it myself.
Yeah.
Was for Murder by Death, which is a kind of like indie like folk band kind of. So that was the first one I ever did, and that was maybe like 2.5 years ago. Like right when I moved to the Fortress.
Okay.
And then since then, I've done ones for the Airborne Toxic event, Modest Yahoo, the War on Drugs, the Orwells.
Do you have a favorite one that you've ever worked on?
I love the one I did for the Orwells. Yeah, I really like that one. It's super simple.
We'll I'll have to get a picture so I can put it on the blog post.
Yeah.
So people can go and see that on the blog.
Yeah.
Dream projects. If you could work on anything with anyone, what would you work on?
I have this it's like an actual dream. Like I want to do this, and at some point I absolutely like am going to do this. So
I love your attitude. Just like do it.
Yeah, like if you want, that's just another like instilled thing for like success. Like if you want to do it, like fucking do it. Like just like there's again like you can say like Matt in the restaurant, like I want to open up your own restaurant. Like I remember when we had that conversation, and I was just like, do it.
Yeah.
I was like, what's stopping you? It's going to be an ass ton of work, but I'm like,
just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. So dream project.
Dream project. So I'm fascinated by trailer parks. I absolutely love them. I really, really want to do a mural, like over an entire trailer, like in a trailer park.
Oh, okay.
Like the whole like roof, every single side,
mural all over the whole thing.
All over the whole thing. I love the idea of like having that like crazy like energy and like colors in just like this like
little
like obscure, like not really like seemingly matching place. Or like a place that's just like looked over for having something of that nature. Like it's not on like the side of like a cool fucking like
nobody
hip,
goes into like nobody even drives into a trailer park.
Yeah.
Unless they know somebody there.
Yeah. Like the idea of that for me is Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
So that's... So I don't... But I've thought about it. I'm like, how the fuck do I make that work? Do I just, like, go... Again, I'll do what I did before. Just email blast.
Yeah.
Except...
Well, my sister used to live in one. You buy the trailer.
Yeah.
And then you just rent where it is.
Yeah. So, but I'm like, do you go... I'm like, do I, like, go put, like, signs up in, like, a trailer park community saying, like, artists looking... Or, like, mail things to people, like...
Oh, like, to see if you could actually do it on somebody's house?
Yeah.
Or... Because you can buy one for, like, $2,000.
Oh, that's true.
And then you just have to rent it out, and then you could resell it.
Yeah. That's true. I was thinking about just, like, having it be on someone's place.
Yeah.
Shit, that's what I did with one of my last murals I did this summer. I
just put it out there?
It's, like, essentially on a guy's house.
That's awesome.
And he just let me do whatever I want.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so that would be good. That and just, I also would love to have, like, an ungodly, enormous mural. That sounds great, too.
Yeah.
So, Joey, if you could go back in time and give yourself advice, what advice would you give yourself?
Probably what I'm trying to do now, to, like, get out and be more part of, like, the, like, art community or whatever, and have started that earlier.
Yeah.
Because it's weird, I don't regret anything I've ever done. So in that way, there's nothing, like, advice-wise, but definitely that, just being more visible.
Active in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that, too, there's just a lot of opportunity in that as well. And then just getting to know other, like, artists. Because for the most part, like, I don't really have a lot of, like, artist friends. Like, most of my friends are, like, I don't even know, have, like, quote-unquote, like, normal fucking jobs.
They're regular people.
They're normies.
Normies.
But, and to a degree, like, I definitely appreciate that, too. And I love getting... advice from, like, people like that, too. Because I'm like, those are the people who are going to see...
your work.
Yeah, I'm like, I want someone who, like, doesn't really, like, a trained eye or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, like, yeah, some shit is subjective, but, like, you can look at something and be like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking about this, too. It's just, like, even with my stuff as an illustrator, I love the idea that, the artwork is out there and it's more accessible to just, like, everyone. You don't have to be in some high-end gallery to appreciate and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which is, like, amazing with the murals.
Yeah.
Is that they're for everybody.
Yeah. And that's, like, I love, like, going on Instagram and, like, looking at Bobcat Bonnies and, like, looking at all, like, the different people who, like, take pictures in front of the murals. And even, like our brunches are popular. And so, like, going there during brunch time and, like, seeing people, like, go up and, like, taking pictures with it and stuff. It's fun. It makes me feel like they're having fun out of it, or they're getting, like, a cool picture, or in some way they're appreciating it.
Right.
And, I mean, I guess ultimately that's the main goal. I mean, my goal in it is just to, like, make a piece that I like.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I accomplish that, then hopefully someone else will like it.
So for anyone that is listening, do you have any advice for anyone out there? Like, that's maybe just starting off, or advice to people that want to get into?
Same advice that I was given in Miami. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And don't waver from it. Keep trying to perfect what you do. After I finish every piece, I literally will like it and think it's great for an hour. And I do like the things that I do, but, like, after, like, an hour, no joke, I'm like, I could do better than that. And so, just having that, like, unwavering, like, blind, maybe even, like, naive drive to just keep
trucking
pump it up. Yeah. As I said, the worst thing that's going to happen is, I don't know, you'll suck and not make any money and waste a lot of time. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I mean, that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, you need to start somewhere. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Yeah. Like I said, just everyone also figures out things on their own and how they, like, the way they do things.
Yeah.
So like I said, for me...
Well, you do so much, though, too. So, like, you know, you're doing all this art stuff. You have all these freelance gigs, and you are also working at the restaurant and helping probably manage all of that stuff as well. How do you even keep organized to do all that stuff? Like, is time management, is that...
Yeah, Matt says I suck at time management. But I'm like, shit, I don't even have time to, like, not time management. Or, I don't even know. It's just having... I don't know. I mean, obviously you gotta, like, de-stress and have time to, like, step back from what you're doing. Because I also have a hard time doing that as well. Because I'm like, I don't like to waste time, basically. So I can't just, like, sit and watch TV without not working on a project or something.
Oh, right.
So yeah, I'd say that too. Just, like, make sure you have good habits of, like, doing your work and know the place that you eventually want to get to, and then just
fucking do it.
Like, I don't even know, like, any other better way to describe it. Like, again, every person's individual. You just figure it out. Yeah, like, it's simple.
Yeah, like, no, it totally is. I mean, honestly, like, one of my issues is that I always self-doubt myself to do things, and I'll get so worked up. I love the attitude that you go towards all this with. It's just like, I'm just gonna fucking do it. It's always...
There's never a right time for anything, and you will get told no.
Yeah.
So that's probably, if I would say another thing, you're gonna get told no all the fucking time.
Don't beat yourself up about it.
Just, like I said, for every 100 emails that I sent out, if I got one back, I was happy.
Yeah.
If I sent out 500 emails and at least got one gig out of it,
that's
I was
awesome.
Happy.
Yeah.
Like, it's starting somewhere. It was also my Ed, that same professor of illustration I had at Grand Valley, who said after you graduate or after you're done with this place, he's like, no one will make you do another piece of art again. Like, no one's going to make you do it.
Yeah, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, definitely. What was it, like 2% of people that actually go to art school at all are
actually doing something with it.
Doing something, yeah. That is, like, actually making art.
Yeah. And I feel like from the amount of, not even just who I graduated with, but, like, who was in the art school, like, the same time as me. So, like, even different ages and, like, grades or whatever the fuck it's called in college. Yeah, I guess that's actually probably another thing. Regardless of who you're, like, hanging out with, regardless if it's, like, artists or not artists, like, surround yourself with good people who are striving in whatever they're doing to do big things too.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing, because if you don't, especially, I don't know, I think that's one thing I've definitely learned as I've gotten older too, is just you want positive people to be around you, because if you surround yourself with negative people, negative things are going to happen to you. Yeah.
Or if, like, you are the people that you hang out with.
It's true. That's a very true thing.
And so yeah,
look at us and our parenting wisdom.
It's so true though. Like,
oh my gosh, like yeah. I guess I was pretty lucky growing up, just because, like, I didn't really hang out with them bad kids.
The riffraff.
I was the riffraff.
Dude, so was I to some extent. But like I said, now in actively being like, all right, now I specifically need to, like, reach out and, like, communicate with artists specifically, because that's just also important.
Yeah, totally. Okay, and if people want to see any of your murals, where can they see them?
They could see at Bobcat Bonnie's. There's 2 of them. There's one down farther south on Michigan on this building called Slabs. It's that one where that guy, that's his house essentially, and he just let me paint the front of it. There's another one inside Fortress Studios. And then this new one that I'm starting tomorrow is going to be at the new Bobcat Bonnie's in Wyandotte. And that's going to open late next month. And then the goal is for this summer to have a lot more.
Okay, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, Joey, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is actually fun.
If you would like to find out more about Joey and his work, head on over to DetroitCraftAcademy.com, where you can find pictures of Joey and links to his website and to Bobcat Bonnie's. And that concludes episode number 4 of Detroit Craft Academy. If you'd like to drop me a line and tell me what you think, head on over to DetroitCraftAcademy.com. You can also find this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. And until next week, keep on perfecting your craft.